Yo, so I've been really wanting to bring back these little truck talks that I used to have. I guess I was doing these pretty consistently like a year ago, but I've only got like 12 minutes on my camera. So this one may be cut short, but it's something that I think a lot of people need to hear, and need to hear it myself. And sometimes I get the best understanding of like a concept or an idea when I just speak it out. So you get to hear me just vent to myself, and then maybe you can gain something from it. But the topic of discussion is going to be how pressure on yourself can be like a double-edged sword. For myself, I think the word is an ultimatum, to where you give yourself like an all or nothing approach. And in my experience, that kind of commitment and discipline to something, and like end I don't know how I would put it. Like just something that is like you're all in or nothing. I think that's the kind of mindset that a lot of people are missing nowadays, is that they want to be like, I have X goal, but I can always fall back on this. And I think you do need to have things that you can fall back on, but I think that your mentality should be like, off the rip, I'm going to make this work regardless of what it takes, regardless of how hard I have to push, regardless of what I have to miss, regardless of anything. And I think that is what has driven me to gain most of my results, whether it be fitness, within like my content or business, or really anything, is having this mentality of like, either I'm going to make this work, or like, not say I'm going to die, but like, I will take whatever amount of time it takes and whatever amount of work it requires to make this work. I think that sort of mentality is like paramount to achieving anything great. Any little goal that I've set for myself where I'm like, I want to achieve this, but if I don't, I can just do this. I almost always end up reverting to the secondary goal and never fulfilling that primary goal. I think when you don't give yourself like like a secondary goal to chase after, and you have just that primary thing that you're like, I am all in on this. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get to it. I think that's what it takes to achieve success in whatever it is you want to do. Because I don't really think that you'll ever, like, let's just say you're on your deathbed. I don't think there is a situation ever where you're going to look back and be like, man, I really wish I wouldn't have worked so hard. You know, and that's gonna differ from person to person, to be honest. Like, would you rather look back on your life and be like, man, I wish I wouldn't have worked so hard? And then you also have the perspective of like, man, looking back when you're on your deathbed or whatever, and being like, man, I really wish I would have like lived a little bit. You know, there's two different ways you can look at it. Me personally, I would like hate it if I looked back and been like, man, I really wish this goal that I set for myself, I would have just went all in on it and not given myself any kind of fallback plan, just went all in on this. I think you put yourself ahead of probably 90% of people when you go into any kind of endeavor with like an all in mindset, where you're like, this goal, I'm going to achieve this, whatever it is. I do not want to mentally give myself a secondary backup plan, because most of the time I'm just going to be like, that's a little easier, that takes less time, I'm going to revert to that. And then that big goal that you have never becomes fulfilled because you gave yourself a secondary option. Like I said earlier, I think that's called like an ultimatum. If it seems like I perform my best and I do my best work and I work my ass off the most when I have my back against the wall and I have to get out. And I think that's the position that a lot of like young people, or just people in general, need to put themselves in. Is they need to like, I'm not saying like self-sabotage or like put yourself in a shitty position on purpose, but I do think that putting yourself in a position where it's like, I've got to figure it out. I have to get out of this shit. Not that saying like the situation you're in is bad, but I've got to make this work because you're passionate about it. You want to make this work. You want this to be a career. You want this to be whatever. You have to put yourself in that position where it's like, no one's coming to save me. All I have is me and my faith in God, and God walking with me. And I'm gonna allude back to that. But you got to put yourself in a position where it's like, I either make it work or I have to make it work. And I think that putting yourself in that perspective is paramount to success in general. Now, another cool thing about this that I've come to realize is that Whenever you put yourself in this like back against the wall ultimatum position or whatever I'm calling it, that requires you to call on the Lord 10 times more. You know, when it's just you're grinding, you're trying to make whatever it is you want to come to fruition, that requires even more of your faith. And when there are hard times, it seems like we forget to call on faith more, when that is the exact scenario and position that you need to be calling on him more for. It's easy to praise God and pray and feel faithful whenever everything's going good. But what about when things are stressful, or you got pressured, or you feel bad? That's when your true faith is tested. The same thing in the gym. What happens when you have a bad day? Do you just go home? Do you not make it to the gym? The same thing goes for your faith whenever you put yourself in this like back against the wall position. When it's just you, maybe you got a couple friends, you have to call on the Lord more, because he will always be there for you. And when you're in this era of, I got to make this work, I have to make this work, you have to call on him more, and he'll be there for you. He'll answer. He's answered for me. He's answered for millions of others, and he'll answer for you when you put yourself in that position. If you consistently go to him, if your faith is true, if you truly believe in the Lord. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, I really do think I'm not going to say psychotic, but a little bit of a crazy ratio of, I have to make this work and I'm not giving myself any kind of backup plan, is pretty paramount to achieving it. That's just my take. But yeah, I'm going to wrap that chalk talk up here. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these. I really like doing these. It lets me spill my thoughts, and hopefully you guys gain a little bit of perspective from this. But I love you guys. God bless you. I'm going to get to work now, and I will see you in the next one.